Hey there, seems like all planets align and you clicked on this video. In today's tutorial, I'm gonna show you how to create sounds like these. Sick. So before we get in today's tutorial, I just want to let you know a little bit of the backstory of how I discovered the sounds, because I actually did not discover them on my own and alone. In fact, I discovered them together with my friend Okta. He was showing me one of the plugins we use in today's tutorial, and he was also putting my nose up to the granular engine of Faceplan. So at this point, I just want to give out a shout out and advertise a little bit his classes, because he's a very great teacher when it comes to one-on-one Psytrance production classes. So if you are an already a little bit advanced Psytrance producer, I just recommend you to reach out to him. He's definitely a Monchi certified teacher. I will put the link to his Instagram in my video description. And now let's get right into the thing here. We are starting off with an instance of Faceplant here. And this preset gonna start with a noise oscillator here with the slope set to the most white noise-ish setting. Sounds like this. And now we're gonna apply a couple of delays and filters to achieve this classic metallic timbre sound. So a very, very steep bandpass filter here, like this, and a delay, a very short one with a lot of feedback. So now we're gonna have a random modulator set on smooth here, which is modulating our filter cutoff here. Like this. And then we're gonna have another random operator also set on smooth, which is modulating the time here. So probably this doesn't need to go to the very low frequencies here. And we can modulate also the pan a little bit. Well, not that fast. Want to make it on smooth, like this. And now we basically gonna repeat this process. Get another filter here. Set it again, very narrow. But this time I'm gonna modulate it with a different random modulator, so we don't have the exact same movement. And I also gonna apply a delay again. Set this to low setting, crank the feedback, and get maybe this one to modulate the timing. What would be also nice if we just have also a little bit of randomness going on in the feedback area. Also on this one, I'm just gonna use this parameter. And last but not least, I'm just gonna add another delay, doing the same thing here. crank the feedback, but I just leave it like that. And since the volumes are differing a lot, I'm just gonna add an instance of an OTT here, which is a factory preset of multipass. To me, the tone is a little bit too high, so I would just set off like the minimum value of the delay a little bit higher. It's very sensitive in these very short milliseconds areas, so I guess everything between 10 milliseconds and like 40 to 50 milliseconds gonna sound very tonal. Already very nice sounds to jam here. So this is part 1 of this tutorial where we just needed to use faceplant. And now I'm gonna introduce you to the rolling sampler. I already have it here, and I will drag it onto our MIDI channel. So now if I press a button, it records what is happening in that specific track. I also could put it on groups and it will record everything in the groups, or on the master, it will record everything on the master. And now I'm gonna create a new instance of faceplant. Let me just real quick search for faceplant, drag it on here, and now I just can, with this plugin, drag and drop the sample inside here. Oh, lane is full. What does that mean? Just drag this part of the sample in here and load a sample in granular generator. And now I'm just gonna have it here. Sick. So this plugin is just a workaround for the export of the sample. Of course, also if you don't have rolling sampler, you can just record the output of your faceplant preset, then render it and have it in some directory, and from there drag it into this engine here. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like you just record the audio track in Ableton and then drag the audio from Ableton into the granular section. Somehow this is not supported in Ableton, and this rolling sampler is a great workaround to this. Also, it will allow us later in the preset I just created to always generate like new input sounds, which we then can put into our new presets, which we're gonna make really soon. So we can vary like the outcome by very small tweaks in the source sound. We can have like a very different outcome, and this is very useful in order to create like very complex sounding sequences, which we then can use later for our track. All right, so now we have this preset here, and we just gonna increase the grains a little bit. And put a random, a smooth one again to just cycle through the sample position in here. And I put it on unipolar and on plus, so it starts just in this range. And because the sound seems really low to me, I'm just gonna add an instance of multipass and OTT here. All right, so far so good. So the next thing I'm going to do is to randomly modulate the grain, and the next thing I'm going to do is to modulate the grain length here. Which can have very, very interesting results. So another random. smooth one. Increasing the length here. So now I'm going to do the first macro modulation, and with this macro I'm gonna control the modulation amount from the random modulation going onto the grain length here. So like this, when the macro is on 0, it keeps the grain length constant, and when I increase it, the modulation is starting to happen. And I will also keep this on unipolar. And now when I crank the macro, I will make sure that the grain length is lowering to a very small value. So we are actually decreasing the grain length, but enabling the random modulation, which is also randomly making our grains very much longer than the original grain length. And I also will do it a little bit slower here. So as the next thing, we're gonna play with the pitch here. And for this, I'm gonna add an LFO here, a very slow one, just like 0.12 or something like this, and add this onto the harmonic shifting here. And I will also control this modulation amount with the macro 1. So now when macro 1 is cranked, we have also this modulation going on the pitch, and when macro 1 is at 0, the pitch will stay the same. All right, now we're gonna move on to the effects here, and we're gonna do one of my favorite techniques. We're just gonna stack an effect, and in this case specifically, we're gonna stack the dual delay. So first we're gonna lower all the settings here and then map the time to a macro, call this one time, the multiplicator to a macro, call this multi, the feedback to a macro and call that FB, the spread to a macro, call that spread, and the crosstalk to a macro and call that crosstalk. The mix I'm gonna bring up to 50%, and then I'm gonna duplicate this 2 times by pressing Ctrl and drag and click. And because delays can explode, as we already heard in the first preset, I just gonna add a limiter here. Nice. So let's see how this is sounding when we are pressing a knob. Nice. Wow. Okay, never get enough of random modulations here. I think I can also increase the gain here a little bit. Yeah. So let's get some random modulation going on here. Again on smooth, maybe a little bit lower, and go here onto the timing halfway up. Also another one on the multiplicator. I actually can just hit Control, click and drop to apply this onto the multi thing here. I make sure to set this for the time on unipolar. So, and the feedback we are going to control with macro 2, and same goes for the spread. Same goes for the crosstalk, and the spread will be also controlled by a smooth random modulation here. which I'm gonna put like in the middle and set it on bipolar. Sick. Sounds already like a very nice sci-fi vehicle in my opinion. Okay, and then we are heading over to our last effect to add in here, which is the ladder filter. And we're gonna give it a little bit of resonance. Sick. And now we're gonna modulate the cutoff with macro 4, but in a backward way. So when I start to crank the macro, actually the value of the cutoff decreases. And I'm gonna show you in a second why we're doing this. Now I'm going to add an LFO table, and under LFO's complex you will find the shape impale, which I'm gonna use now. And I'm gonna set this to sync mode and to 4/4. And then I'm going to apply this also to the cutoff. And now with this macro, which is controlling the cutoff amount as well, I'm gonna let this control the modulation amount of the LFO table. So what's happening by this is that when I have the filter open, there's no modulation happening. And when I close the filter down, it's gonna start to play this rhythmical pattern here. All right. And last but not least, we're gonna map macro 5 to the LFO table position here. And now I'm also mapping all of our macros to my MIDI controller. And I just gonna create a long note here. And just gonna press play and then jam with like all these parameters. Very sick. And now I'm gonna show you the thing I was talking about in the middle of the tutorial. We now just can create other variations of this first sound. All right. And now I can just drag and drop this one into the granular engine here, and we have a new sample. And as always, I would encourage you to check out different types of samples here. I just gonna maybe go into additive here and take like deconstructed square and let's have a listen. Diverge saw sounds also very nice. So that's it for today's tutorial. If you really appreciated this tutorial and if you want to support me very hard, you can head over to my Patreon. When you subscribe there for $3 per month, you will get early access to upcoming tutorials and also to upcoming podcast episodes. If you really appreciated this video but don't want to subscribe to my Patreon, you can just subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like this, you will be up to date whenever I upload a new video here, and it really helps the channel to grow. If you like this video, like this video. If you want to see some topic covered in the future or just help me to push this video, you can leave a comment here for the algorithm. Last but not least, I have a free sample pack available. The link is in the comments. It's on Gumroad. And I also have a vital preset pack available. So if you enjoy presets like this, but you just want to get right into jamming without creating those presets, maybe check out the demo video for my vital preset pack so you can decide if actually purchasing my vital preset pack is something for you or not. So thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.